Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cybercrea, the home of enterprise cybersecurity wisdom, one podcast at a time. Today's episode is another, I would say, special one for me. We have a industry veteran, industry leader who has lived, I would say, the whole journey of the world we live in, like the SAP GRC, SAP Security and Identity world, been on the other side of the world where all the innovation happens, leader leading that whole thing, and now also building something right now which I'm very passionate about, the new cloud word in SAP word. He has some other personal part which I will try to learn. I think he does some other volunteer, some other work too, but more to come in the episode. I will try to find his the personal side and his journey. But before I would say we go deep into it, without further ado, please join me to welcome Vishal Verma. Vishal, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Gaurav. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really honored to be part of your show. Thanks for the invite and looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Vishal. So as a kind of a ritual, I give some moment to my guest to introduce. I know you are a known people will know you if they are from SAP world, but I want to give you a moment to introduce yourself, Vishal. Whatever you can share, you want to share about who's Vishal.
Yeah, sure. So I don't think everybody knows me. A few people knows me for sure, right? I mean, probably you are much more famous, Gaurav, than me. But I have Vishal Verma spent a lot of time at SAP of my career. I think 90% of my career time was spent at SAP, 20 plus years, approximately 20 years. And then I'm with Crave Infotech right now. At SAP, I did variety of roles, and I have some honest confession here. So, unlike probably your other guests so far who have been throughout life, lived, breathed security and identity since entire career, I have done a lot of different kind of things here and there. So I have a very different journey. And yeah, here am I. I'm trying to launch another product in the identity and security space. Glad to be here.
No, I think I just love the way you, and I think that's where it makes you. Again, we're not comparing, as you said, the other guests, and everybody have a story. Everybody has, I mean, collective wisdom, right? And you said you have not been in the safe security space. I feel like that makes you a better security personnel. Like it makes you a better builder because you understand the problem. Because sometimes if you're just living and building security, right, you become like a siloed and what at least what I could do is like understand the business side of the word more, right? Then because we are not here for the business of security. We are here for to secure we are for the business. The business needs to run, it needs to do what it has to do. And then our responsibility is to empower them, to enable them, right? Not be the blocker, right? So I think, yeah, yeah, I've been trying to have you for some time. So Vishal, thank you for coming in. And yeah, thank you for what you're doing. I would like to deep dive about what you're building. If you would love to share, maybe at later part of our podcast. But before we on the technical side of the things you're building for our SAP audience, I wanna touch more of your SAP experience. So what were you doing on SAP? I saw different experiences. You kind of owned. It says solution owner. I believe you are owning the GRC and the risk compliance. I want to hear that part of the word because I know Jasveer and we kind of connected. So there are folks who started this whole thing, gave GRC to SAP Word, and again, Jasveer, I'm chasing him again to have him on the show. He's a busy man. He's building something new right now. But I want to hear your part. Like, what was your 20 years of SAP experience, and what we can learn from that,
Yeah,
if you can.
definitely. So I started my career in company called General Electric, very famous company in their internal IT organizations, and I have multiple implementation projects within GE, and I became a Six Sigma black belt there in that company. And then SAP at that time, way back I think 2004, was looking for black belts because they wanted to have this initiative within SAP, at least SAP Labs India, and I joined SAP at that point of time. So I joined. It was good journey, and I joined in a department called A1S in that point of time, which became Business by Design. It was a R&D division where they wanted to apply these practices, and I was there for some times doing the Six Sigma Black Belt and other initiated out there, helping SAP out there. When a call came from Germany where they needed somebody to roll out Global Trade Services, GTS, SAP, another product. throughout the market. For folks who don't know, SAP GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, is a group of product. It's not just access control like many of us,
Mm, yeah.
synonymously call. But that's why I joined GTS Global Trade Services. I was a solution owner for Global Trade Services, rolling it out to different countries. And from there, my GRC group of products journey started. I worked on many products as product owners from there on, solution owners from there on. I would say I have been very fortunate in the journey that SAP GRC launched many new solutions, products since last 15 years. Of course, not in last few years, but earlier. And I have been fortunate to be part of every single new launch, whether it's audit management, whether it was fraud management, later named to business integrity screening, tax compliance, to name a few. And from there, I diverse a little bit to global tax because I say we want to establish, because of tax compliance, do something out there. And I'd established the area of SAP solution of global tax compliance, ACR and all. And then I got an opportunity to lead entire GRC solution management and global tax put together. So my last role at SAP, as you mentioned, was heading the solution management team for GRC and global tax, which includes all the products like classic GRC, access control, process control, risk management, or newer GRC solutions, the public cloud solution, global trade services, and some of the tax solutions. So I was solution management head for that, right? So there's a development head and solution management head, just to be clear. Yeah. And I'm still based out of Germany. I moved to Germany since 2008. GTS, Global Trade Services, as I mentioned, my start of SAP GRC. And I remember it was Lehman Brothers crisis, the month I came here. Fun time
Okay.
to be. And since then, I'm in Germany. Yeah, well settled here in Waldorf, still in Waldorf, Germany, with a nice son and my wife, who's also working in SAP.
Oh, wife is in SAP as well, or the son? Okay,
Yes.
wife. Okay.
My son will join probably in a few years, not yet.
Okay. I think I was talking to Jana. I think he's in APAC. He works in SAP. Again, he's another expert. His contents on and blogs, everything's such amazing. I'm trying to have him. He was saying his son is in SAP too. So for me, like if you ask me, I would love to have my daughter to join maybe Cyber or SAP. That's like our wish list, right? So maybe that's for future. But husband and wife, okay, that's good to know. So you speak like SAP language, GRC, GTS, or like what's your dinner conversations looks like, Vishal, or is it non-SAP?
It's non-SAP. We try to be non-SAP. So dinner
Okay,
time is a ritual time between me, my wife, and my son talking about things, not SAP, right? And
so not
I don't
SAP.
want to be
Okay,
in SAP, which is, yeah. So
okay,
some disappointment there for you, right? It will
okay,
not be SAP family in there.
okay. Thank you. So anything like if our audience, and we have mixed audience here, we have like cyber folks, we have, I would say majority are SAP folks. So anybody who's like in SAP, the GRC, as you said, the GRC is a broader umbrella of, it's not just access control, which we all assume and think. Even like from the cyber side also, we assume there's a false sense of security too, right? Just you're doing this access control, you think everything is good. So anybody listening in just from because you kind of been leading the whole suite of solutions, and again, there's a cost to it. There's a business requirement, and not everybody can have everything, right? So if anybody listening in, maybe from a customer side, or I would say maybe both two audience, customer side and then the SAP GRC guy. If I'm a customer, do you have like a say, like this is what as a like non-negotiable, you should have these components, and then maybe based on your requirement, we always say it's based on requirement and whatnot. But do you want to share something before we go into some other topic? Like, because you have been there, you have been owning, you have been selling. I don't know how much sales was involved one or you're building on that time. But do you have in your mind like something like this is like, okay, we have different solutions and different part of GRC. Maybe you cannot have everything. There's life, you cannot have everything, right? But do you have something on that? Like any response on that, Vishal, for a customer listening in?
So there is a fact, in fact, as you pointed out, probably GRC access control is probably the most successful and widely adopted solution. So me saying it is a must probably holds little value, but if majority of customer base of GRC is also running access control, that says in itself, right, what kind of impact that solution had. Coming to GRC, it's also that every organization does GRC. Every organization done governance, risk, and compliance, done risk management, how to do better manage the risk. They do governance of things and they have to be compliant to various regulations. So every organization done, there is a very well established GRC definitions out there and how this is managed by the organization. It's probably start with the risk management, the organizational risk, various sort of risk, and then you can say there are multiple risks which organization takes, and that's a part of the business. You have to take risks, right? And then there are business processes, procure to pay, order to cash, and all sorts of business processes. And each of these business processes have their own risk. So there's an enterprise risk view, then business processes, and each process may have some risk associated with this. And to mitigate or address those risks, maybe different solutions, different controls which have to be put into place. And this is where various products of SAP GRC comes into play. Enterprise risk management, like SAP risk management as a product, or you have process control to make sure all these processes are controlled and access from that perspective. Also, the access to these various processes, how the controls will happen. And I can go tax compliance, which goes in the direction of controls around the tax declaration perspective, or fraud management, business integrity screening, which studies vast amount of data to find some anomalies in the system, which shows there might be some fraudulent case on anomalies which are happening, and I go on and on. In the end, it's vision of 3 lines of defense, and there's audit management also, right? Risk management, bunch of control oriented solution, whether it is process control, it is access control, business integrity, tax compliance, and so on and so forth, and then audit management solution. And these three put together, like a 3 lines of defense, is for the organizations to make sure that they are in full controls and doing governance, risk, and compliance in a very proper and comprehensive way. Hope that makes sense.
No, thank you, Vishal. And as you were explaining, you're talking about different layers and 3 layer of defense and all. Maybe just moment for bragging. I don't know. I always try to use that. Like, have you seen like the things we talk in our GRC ecosystem for SAP? You said every organization does some kind of a GRC, but have you seen this happening in non-SAP world as we do on the SAP? But I feel like this is one thing we probably have excelled. We have to catch up on the other part of cyber and the things. But I feel like the GRC maybe, do you want to brag about it? Like, is it? I think SAP has excelled on this whole thing. I don't see the same kind of a level of business focus, risk management, even having different tools and components. What's your take on that, Vishal?
I think it comes from the base of SAP, which is ERP, right? ERP is all about business processes, running your businesses, right? And our GRC is tightly integrated to this. We are fortunate to be given a platform, such a rich platform, or ERP S4 ECC moving back, where entire world is running their business processes on. And that's what we have to protect. These are the true crown jewels of information. Think about the situation where SAP ERP holds procurement data, vendor master data, customer data, intellectual property, sales data, and these are the crown jewels of informations and controls which have to be there. So the way we approach GRC is not very common in the industry, which does a lot of generic tools to address GRC, both from security sides or risk side or other control side. We are very focused on making sure the enterprise is protected. I hope that makes sense.
No, yeah, yes. I think in the same, I think Jay, like we always talk, I think the business kind of a focus. We don't just do GRC. We are embedded into the whole business processes, functions, sub functions. We even go on the different layer and everything there, right? So, 100% agree. Thank you, Vishal. I do want to touch some personal part of you as well before I think I will probably ask some whatever word and I have some other questions. What is yoga dhan? I do see some on the background too. So I feel like there's some story there, Vishal. I want to hear more about it. What you do. Seems like there's something going on around yoga. So I want to hear more about Vishal. What is that yoga dhan and what you're doing there?
So this is my office, where I work like 5 days, and for a couple of hours in the week, this is also turns into a yoga studio where my wife teaches online the yoga. So COVID time, we hit that we should do something in addition to our regular corporate jobs. And corporate jobs says it's very demanding. You have to be there. So we thought at least couple of hours every week we have to spend on giving back to the society. And this is, we toyed upon a few things, and this is where we ended up with the idea of let's do Yogadan, which means we are connecting kind of health to charity. So there's a dual purpose. So what we do is that we invest on the one side in the well-being of people in Germany out here, right? Both online and physical classes. By the way, our children class has 30 children. Every Sunday we have a class, approximately 30 children comes. And so we invest in their well-being. And when we invest in their well-being, these are well-to-do families. So they give some nominal fee, and all the proceeds we generate from this, we donate. So all the teachers, like my wife, and we have a couple of more teachers and other volunteers, they don't take any money, right? So we are just doing it for charity sake. So all the proceeds we have, we kind of donate to the good causes in India. At the moment, we have 10 children. We are sponsoring in India, one of the organization. Last year, it was 5 underprivileged children. So that's what we are doing, connecting health to charity as a yogana.
Thank you. Thank you, Vishal. This is just such a, I would say, heartwarming. Just to again, I don't want to. I think I was kind of feeling that thing when I was here. So it shows you are like this really like a passionate work you both are doing, and then giving back to. And the dan means in dan is a Sanskrit or Hindi word. I believe dan is like giving back, right? And yoga, we all know yoga, right? So yoga dan. Even I love the name as well,
And
right?
then,
That's
so it's a yoga, and there is dan, and then a yogdan, which also means something in Hindi, right? Yogdan means to contribute.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So can anybody like, is it for the children, for the kids? So yoga is for kids. The classes you're doing is for the kids, right?
Physical classes we do out here are for kids every Sunday. So that's happening. The classes which happens here are online classes. Unfortunately, they happen in morning German time.
Okay.
So the
So
from US
European.
folks would be
Okay.
probably not. It
Okay.
would be not right
Okay.
time for them to join.
Okay. But if you're open to share how somebody maybe in Europe or Germany can join, we all have. So if you're open, we can share that link as well. Thank you for doing that, and kudos to the two SAP husband and wife who lives in SAP world, but is doing non-SAP things and giving back to the community and society. So thank you, Vishal, for that. And please share my thanks to your wife as well. Yeah. So let's switch back to the life we live, the things we build, where we get our paychecks and whatever we have to pay bills and we have to live our life as well, and then that allow you to do other things which you're doing. So let's talk about what I would say. Maybe start with the one of the posts I saw, which I just loved it, and it was a very catchy line. It says, "Diamonds are forever. Your BTP service keys are not." Right.
That's correct.
So I want to deep dive in that topic. I would say I'm really passionate about that whole BTP word and the non-human identities, the service keys, because I feel like at one part, okay, we have been doing GRC, we can brag about it, but I would say on the other side, the drawback or the false sense of security is all this new BTP, this SaaS, this PaaS, the cloud word, the service keys, the JSON and JWTs and OAuth, OIDCs and SAMLs and BTP. This whole thing is new to us, right? Us meaning the SAP security, SAP bases, SAP admins, the developers who have been living ABAP, and BTP is the future. I feel like I think BTP is so powerful. And I hired my Eureka moment. We can talk about that too. But I feel like we are not seeing the word as you are seeing it, and the word you are building it, because as that post says, you download the service key. It's a JSON service key you shared via some whatever method, because you probably have a basis guy on a call and somebody is saying just create a service key, right click, create a service key on the instance. Okay, it's downloaded on your laptop, right? And it's just there, and you say there's a lifeline and whatnot. So I don't want to take a, and I will like, because you are the expert, I know you're building something about it. But what is that? Why diamonds are forever? Why BTP service keys are not? What is that? And maybe let's deep dive. I want to hear more about it. I'm curious, Vishal.
You explained it pretty well, right? So I think you really explained it very well, entire thing we are doing. But just to put context to the things, what does that mean really? The statement which you picked up. By the way, statement was helped by ChatGPT also, right? So it was a little bit
That's
of
okay.
help from here and there, as you know. So I don't
Yeah,
want to take it.
yeah.
But it's very true. And the reason for the statement is, let's take an example. There is a company, if you know, there's a company, South Korean company called Coupang. It's headquartered in US. They're like Amazon of South Korea. Entire South Korea purchases for them. They had huge breach. I think 2/3 of South Korean population, their data get leaked, and it just happened like a couple of months back in November. December timeframe, December, I guess. Their market capitalization dropped by billions, right? They had to give probably 1 billion back to people in compensation of those kind of things, huge things and personal, and you see how the hell get lost. Why that happened? Because there's an authentication key which somebody left the organization. That person was in possession of authentication key which give them the access, not human ID password which is revoked identities, but the access to go back and through the programmatic way create a utility, get back into the system and extract the data out of the system. For 6-7 months that person was doing it. So that's the reason the statement diamonds are forever. These keys are not, because if you're not rotating these keys, they are lying there forever, waiting to be exploited. Let me try to explain through another mechanism about this, right? And I don't want to use scare tactics, but this is reality. If you look at many of the top breaches, I have been traveling a little bit in last couple of months, and everybody's talking about the biggest breach of history of Jaguar Land Rover, which happened in 2025, Marks and Spencers, and some others. And yes, they always has been some entry door, some vulnerabilities which give them entry from here or there. But once we have found, when the people are inside the system, what they try to find is ways to get broader authorization, broader privileges. And sometimes the user access, if you have user ID passwords, they are restricted with multi-factor authentications of the world and many other restrictions. They're really protected. User access is a lot of protected. Not saying that it cannot be, kind of manipulated or something, but these keys, like service keys, JSONs for our audience, which is out there. So let me just define it. So when you when you create a new integration, let's say so integration suite, right? Integrate as for HANA to something else. You are creating integration, but you are creating an authentication mechanisms to come through this chain, right? And many times you get service keys. When you have clean code strategy, you are creating new applications in BTP, you are now doing AI and many other things. You are continuously creating these keys because these keys are created for automation. They have to be there. They have to press it all the time because call will come and it has to be active. They don't do MFA. They don't do just in time login or something. They're just there. And that's where they are target to exploit it. And these keys must be protected. Basic must be rotated. You rotate your passwords every now and then, right? All sorts of passwords, banking passwords, right? So there is a reason you do it. And that's why you should also think about rotating the keys, which is keys to the kingdom of the crown jewels we talked about, and those should be rotated at a basic minimum hygiene level. Does that make sense? I think it was a long
No,
answer.
no, no. As I said, and the risk for our ecosystem is, I feel like, it's more because if you talk about service keys and non-human identities on the non-SAP, the cyber world, I think they will get it. I think maybe they have been using this kind of a whole, OAuth and
Yes.
things like that, right? For SAP, where it was always like RFCs, and you have a user is system user, which you limit what access authorizations they have, right? But with this BTP, is talk about integration flows and things like that. It's kind of is changing, right? And I feel like we are not ready. We are not there. I think unless you have somebody maybe who understand the risk there, it's like an additional threat actor, right? A threat vector, because as you said, it's you create a service key, you add access to integration or whatever API endpoints. As long as somebody have those secret ID and secret, they have access, and this is all public endpoints. It's not even like internal within your firewall. The whole cloud, right? So the perimeter is it's not you have to be in. You can even call those endpoints even being outside, right? Is it true?
And we can also talk about life cycle failures. Why the failure happen in this entire process. But before go there, just putting some numbers to what you mentioned, right? In the past, like 15 years back, before we had this less connectivity and so on and so forth, right? SaaS was not so dominant. This predominantly SAP ERP where business processes were there, right? Today, organization can easily have 100, 200 SaaS application, a mid-sized organization. A lot of organizations may have 400, 500, maybe thousands of these SaaS applications. Many of these are not business critical, but many are growing from non-business critical to business critical, where business processes data go from one application to other. So they are getting more critical from these integration points and things like that. What do you say is correct? And coming to the lifecycle failures of these keys, right? The challenge is that developers and people doing integration, they want velocity. They have pressure. They want to get things done fast. So they go to the cockpit or they go to administrator, ask them to generate keys. Keys is generated. They use the keys many times in a unsecured manner, many times just passing on for dev test and so on and so forth. Multiple areas point. But as soon as a key is generated and used, this is a perfectly working key for that automation, but also totally ungoverned key because nobody is registering where this is used for. Nobody is registering what is the risk factor, is who is the owner. So one of our customers, there is some breach happened in one part of the integration scenarios and people were scrambling. Okay, so we need to kind of rotate these keys because we know something might be coming from there. So they should not have now the access, whatever probably would have got leaked. And they couldn't do it so easily because whom to contact if the owner is not registered for those integrated keys, for example, or what systems are being used for. You don't want to break the automation. So rights in the metadata creation and automation of rotation, those kind of things are really, really important. And it breaks because velocity, you do it, you don't take the hygiene of putting some metadata. You share it with the emails or hard coded into the scripts, which is a hygiene which should be followed in the coding and sharing and using properly the keywords. And I would say rotation is not because of lack of willingness to rotate. It's just lack of practicality or to rotate. You don't want to break those integrations. And we can discuss this on and on. I think there's a practical reasons why this is not happening. But this is more and more important with this new world we are in.
Also, I think the BTPs, you may have like we always, I think that this is like we're empowering the different teams, not just the IT, right? So you may have a non-IT folks, non-security folks, right? When this, whatever automation you're saying, right? Maybe they're building their own automation and they don't even know, right? I think that's understanding is not even there. And there's no like nobody's stopping them to kind of save that service key or share in unsecured way and not even, and I don't know. I feel like we need to change that mindset and learn this BTP word more than we are, and leave that whole notion of okay, this is system ID and RFCs, and I think it's also like that the baggage we comes from, right? I feel like the way the basic security we have all been living the SAP word as we are. This is all new word, JSON and OAuth and as you said, there's no like, and even the audit, right? I feel like I have a friend, and again, same passion, same we talk. Audit is not even there. You will audit the user and access and everything, but they don't even know whether there is a service key which can get you the same level of access, even outside of your perimeter, right? And I don't see they are being audited today as they should, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's also kind of knowledge gap in the audit side, which I have also observed, right?
Yeah.
And we have not
There.
even talked about authorizations, right? We have just
Yeah.
stayed
Yeah.
the authentication part, right? When you go to the authorization and what people can do with different, I mean, it can get very, very interesting very fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Because service keys has a role assigned, whatever, for different I flows, right? And if it's just one thing, it's just getting that one role, and it's like you give opening up everything. You're not limiting. This is just for this I flow and that role for that I flow versus it's a common EBS and whatever it is, and it's getting mapped to every service key by default, right? So I don't think yeah.
Often overprivileged, and this privilege access is often not managed.
Yeah. So if I'm a customer and I will try to bring my S4 and because we have to call to action, right? So I'm a customer listening to you, Vishal, right now. Maybe I'm already on S4 transformation, or maybe I'm going on S4 transformation. Is it a different answer if I ask the question? Do you want to like limit? Maybe okay. Let me rephrase. So let's tackle because the first case, I'm going on transformation journey for S. What I should be doing or thinking about securing this new threat vector we call non-human identities in just from SAP. Do you have any kind of recommendation for them or anything you want to share?
Yeah, I guess talking from Six Sigma angle, right? I mentioned I was in Six Sigma. What you measure is what you get, right? If you don't measure thing, you don't get. If you so, my recommendation is just to check how the security is at the moment, how the security posture is around your integrations, which you have done. Probably majority of market customers now, many of them are using SAP integration suite already, right?
Yeah.
And few things. Just go and see how many of these points which can be exploited are 100% protected at this moment, right? And then see what can be done from there and what can. So my thing would be just to start looking into this angle of the world which has changed from monolithic ERP architecture to very modern distributed cloud architecture. Even if you take out BTP, there are still integrations happening to Ariba and many other things. Think about that how what things can be exploited in this new world and how those can be protected. I mean, that would be the very that would be the wise thing to do.
Who should be, I would say, accountable, or who should be owning this new world of non-human identities? Because I've been talking to some other kind of, whatever, like as we're talking, right? I hear like, okay, that's done by some different team, or it's all cockpit word, right? And admin's word. And even the way we define BTP admin, who are those BTP admin, right? Have you defined, is it as SAP security? Is it SAP basically? Who's taking that BTP admin role? Is it a new breed of trained professionals who knows this word than SAP security guy would know, or SAP basis guy would know, or like who are? So I feel like the ownership, what you have seen, like who's owning this new word of security, Vishal? Is it like a depends and you have seen mix, or because I've seen mix? It's not like we are not like saying there's a BTP admins who comes with that mindset, and because they have so much power, right?
I guess,
Or will you recommend something like maybe
yeah,
not like yeah,
it should not be. We should not think about only BTP from this context, right?
okay,
But at least we have to scope it out because there's a broader SAP, beyond SAP, entire enterprise things which are happening. But when we come to this crown jewels of S4, typically the key ownership, and we go to CISO, is too far apart probably.
yeah, but the
But
real
but
hands-on, yeah, yeah.
but the platform owners probably, right? The somebody who owns SERP as a whole in the organization, right? So those people probably should be the accountable for what is happening in BTP, because in the end there's integrating to your core S4, right? So they have to be accountable. When it comes to security, what I have seen is that mostly SAP bases and SAP security people are graduating also doing BTP security part of it, and they should take some responsibility, probably not accountability. Accountability side should be with the platform owners of S4, if there are one in your organization or whatever organization it is, right? Coming to also a little bit of who should own, right? In the sense of, it's also that we talked about SAP as a lot of crown jewels of information and so on and so forth. We had also in GRC very rich history of people who have done a lot of great work with access control and other security things, and securing, doing segregation of duties, so on and so forth. I think our community here has two choices now, right? Two options now. One, stay in the comfort zone, keep doing what we have always been doing, and probably slowly we kind of the it will be diminished, the things which as a community we have been doing. Because our second option is become a little bit more evangelist. Think about new things which are happening like this and many other things which are happening. It's just not one single thing. This is one single example. There are many other problems which are happening, which is newer world problems. Be evangelist for your area, because you are protecting the most important, probably the most important assets in the organization. And think about what more you have to do in addition to what you always have been doing since last 20 years. And that would be, I would say, that question.
No, thank you, Vishal. Like, if you ask me, because I'm maybe biased, I think it's more on SAP security folks. Like we have to become, and that's why we say SAP cybersecurity. Like you have to be, and on SAP basis, again, they are the admin, but I feel like the whole segregation of duties and the whole SOD, right? If admins are the one who kind of also doing security, which I always loved the way the SAP have, we have a separate security team. If you go to other word, right? I don't want to name the product, but in that word, you would see admins. Admins are admins. They do everything. I feel like we have to respect and bring that whole SOD and then the security. And we used to be part of basis, but now SAP security is a separate entity. You have GRC into it. Now the next progression, as you said, be the evangelist be that SAP, BTP, security, and just think holistically, not just BTP, but BTP is the new frontier for sure. Integration suite and other BTP services. We have IES and IPS or SCI, whatever we call it, then IEG. And so, but for me, if you ask me, I would say the responsibility is more on the SAP security. Like you have to step up. You have to step up. You have to learn these things. As you said, learn. This is a new word. You can secure just building by roles and access control, but if this part is not good, you like a you build a home, you close everything, but you kept like a one window open or maybe a door open, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I want to hear. I know you said you're building something, not going into like more technical part of it, but I think you're solving this problem in somehow, right? I want to touch some part of it. Maybe we can do a further follow up, maybe just do deep dive if you're open to that, Vishal. But I want to hear how you're solving the problem we just did. I think we understand the problem. It's a mindset, it's a team. So there's always a people part. I believe you have a technology. So you're solving from a technology perspective, right? So process, people, and technology. So I want to hear what you're building today, Vishal.
Yeah. So at a very high level, as you mentioned, and we discussed a lot about problem, it's around SaaS proud, right? So number of applications, SaaS, and increasing integrations are increasing. Code is moving out of critical code, and data is moving out into BTP and so on and so forth. So one part in our platform is around non-human identities. One part is extending SAP GRC for human identities part. So we are having both as a solution part within our. When it comes to the non-human identity part, right? So the what solution helps is start with the discovery of those keys, service keys which are there, create a catalog of it, put some hygiene into this to do some things like metadata creation, the criticality, risks. Try to find potential because sometimes there are keys and you don't know who the best guess who's the owner might be. Try to, with the logs, help logs to suggest who might be the owner of these keys, right? Help create the accountability. And once that's done, also have automated process around the rotation of keys. How do automatically rotate these keys and secret without breaking this integration, how that automation can work. Also, we have seen the problem is often keys, right? People create these keys, move out of the organization, or programs are created sometimes for some purposes, some automation, they are not required. The keys are still hovering around in the system. So how that entire deactivation, revocation, that entire process works. So we are trying to kind of automate this entire process, having an application in SAP BTP itself. And just to be complete, I think it's not only BTP, we also can integrate with the likes of secrets can be coming from the vaults, various sorts of vaults, also integrate with Aribas because there also these kind of things are there. So that's all we are trying to do. So discover, go on, rotate, deactivate. So entire key lifecycle management from the non-human identity part. From a human identity part, I think SAP GRC access control is super successful solutions has been there. I need not tell this audience which you have out there the goodies which brings. What it does is probably does the best in the industry. We try to, in the same spirit of the SaaS sprawl, we try to say that now the business process is not only ERP, but it starts and ends somewhere else. So how you can do the proper, let's say, segregation of duty, your provisioning, deprovisioning, across those business processes and across those different systems. So that's from the human identity pieces we do. So this is kind of our focus area as a product we are building.
Thank you, Vishal. So probably we will share the details and how somebody, if they want to know more about it, how they can reach out to you. So I believe LinkedIn is the platform they can reach out if they have questions or they want to just know more about it, right? We can share your LinkedIn profile.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. And maybe I would say, and I always get promise from my, I guess, for the follow up. So maybe that can be we can go deep dive if you're willing. We can go deep dive on the whole solutions and other part. Because I feel like this is a problem we should be solving, like an S4 transformation. Don't just go like the traditional path. This is a new word, the BTP word, and there's the non-human identities part we just discussed, and we have to be ready for it. So at least know about it. If you cannot do it, or if you whatever reason is a business requirement and budget and other things and things we can't control, things we can control, and there's always something, right? This is and every business customers are different, but yeah, at least know about it. Know the whole ERM part. You said know your risk. How you mitigate it, that depends on the business. Whether you just accept it, mitigate it, or whatever, and you have some other controls. So that's on you to decide and take, right? Whether it's a technology solution or the process, just having like human resources just logging in, doing things manually, rotating keys manually. You at least have a process, right? So that's totally on the customer side. So if you're open, Vishal, maybe we can do a deep dive as a follow-up session to this, and at least me personally would love to know more about it. I know I have joined some webinar just for my sake. I would love to learn more about it because this is so close to my heart too. Yeah, BTP is there, and it's gonna be there and so powerful. It's being adopted with low code, no code, and clean code, right? That's your core. Even though the ECC is S4 is your core, but I feel like this is the actual. I don't know. Maybe the ECC is your heart, or maybe BTP would become brain, or I don't know how you will relate to it, but maybe it's other way around. But
Looking forward to that discussion. And me personally would also like to learn from you. I think you are a thought leader yourself, written a book and stuff. So I would also like to know in this new world and things we are discussing how we can better automate and secure these processes and things for our customers.
no, no, thank you. I know you are in a different world, but I know you travel a lot. Maybe I will see you in some conference. I would love to meet again. I think we met in Sapphire, I believe, last year. So I look forward to meeting you and your team. I know I may meet Harish maybe in some event. I saw his name somewhere. So hopefully, yeah. So look forward to again, Vishal. Let me know.
We probably meet next month in SAP Insider.
Okay, yeah, yeah, definitely. I think we entire tribe is coming there, and everybody excited with SAP Insider. So yeah, I will see you in Vegas. So before I let you go for today's episode, Vishal, anything else you want to share? Anything you want to like the key takeaways to our audience? Or maybe I don't think we covered the customer part. Maybe somebody like who's like a SAP Security GRC guy, maybe on 3-5 year of experience. There's always like a journey, right? You start like as a fresher, you're just building roles, support, and then you expand. Anything you want to give like a takeaway to that person? You said you have to learn and don't just do what we're doing, because then you will probably just go away with AI. So anything you want to give to that audience who's just struggling maybe today, doesn't know where he or she should be going to, like what is the future for the basis guy, the security guy? Anything you want to share, Vishal?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I have mentioned a little bit about uh, thing about that we need to become evangelist and out of comfort zone and all those things. That probably is true for somebody who has been there since a long time, but somebody who's starting up the journey, few years, my strong recommendation is that look at the great things SAP Security GRC provide, key information you are safeguarding in the organization, but keep your eyes and ears open to broader industry, what is happening all across in the cybersecurity security space, right? And how the stuff which is happening outside can be done, also replicated in our unique manner into the environment we are in with the context of SAP ERP. I think when these two worlds marry perfectly, I guess then the real magic will happen. And I think to the audience who is starting out, I think keeps both your left brain and right brain open to the both parts.
So where do like I know I think they know what to do, but how they do? Is it like a be active on LinkedIn and said, just listen and see what's going on? Is something like how do you do that for you? Like how do you keeping your left brain, right brain open? Is this something you want to share? Like what's your like? You just reading a lot, listening and watching, and just seeing going to conferences. Like what's your one or two thing which you do to get or keep up to date, or maybe get those ideas and solve that in this world? Like how you are doing that for you, Vishal?
Yeah, typically, I think there are multiple channels. Reading is in the end, it ends at the reading. The good part today is that in the past few years back, probably you have to subscribe to a Gartner report or Forrester or whatever to know what are the latest of hype cycles, what's happening in the industry in general, and where this hype has gone down and all those kind of things. What are the cool vendor list which is happening out today? You can ask these kind of questions to the AI. So I would say reading all these things in a very accessible tools you have is a great start. You can start looking at the places where do a lot of these kind of analysts reports and some sort of proxy to this analyst reports which talks about these latest greatest happening, probably not every hype, but the hype which is kind of substantiating a little bit coming out to the valleys. and see what's exactly is things which are really shaping up. The non-human identity part also, there are a lot of cool startups out there, out in the open, which are doing a lot of good stuff, right? For example, just to give you example.
The whole API security word, right? This is new
Yes.
to us, right? But they have been doing that. So I feel like, even I think I met somebody. I think he gave me like a, yeah, I think he was a, I think one of our guests. He said it's better if we let the cyber guys, like, who have been living the API security and this word, to actually even come into our BTP word, because they have been living that. They know the threat landscape, they know the actor and vector, whatever it is, right? And then all they need to learn is the how BTP and things are done. And maybe, so I think it's just like a join, like join different forces, talk to different people, learn what they're doing, and how you can embed or how you can include that in your word of the whatever works you're doing, right? So yeah, connect. LinkedIn, I would say, is a great platform, as I said, listening, reading in, and yeah, just an AI. I forgot about AI, right? So ask, if you don't know what to prompt, you will not get the answer. So you should also have to know what problem I should be solving, and maybe just keep your left and right brain open. So okay, thank you, Vishal. That was really good. Um, Thank you again for coming. So I think anybody, if they want to reach out, we will share your LinkedIn. I think you said your LinkedIn is the platform to reach out to you. Um, Yoga Dan, I heard Yoga Dan. So anybody in Germany, we will share that link as well. If, and that's again, thank you for doing that. And yeah, thank you. I think I will let you go. I know you're a busy person and doing multiple things. And I look forward to seeing you in Vegas.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Gaurav, and looking forward to continue this discussion in the other forums.
Thank you.